Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is October 28th, and today's episode is going to be talking about Saturn Zero, which launched last night. We're also going to be talking about GMC elections that started today, and an update on Constellation, and a whole lot more. So let's get straight to the amazing stuff.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So even before Saturn Zero went live, there were a lot of people who were kind of like moving stake around, setting up new validators. And the reason for that is because Saturn Zero was kind of seen as a trigger event. And what that means is it forces people to act or at least evaluate what's going on. And I think a lot of people, like here, Thomas, you can see on the screen, staked 85,000 RPL. I think what happens is you can see that there's something going to happen, and then you adjust your position accordingly, right? So some of the people saw that, the part of the commission was going to become dynamic and variable, and they maybe just wanted to lock in those 14% validators, and that's what they were doing. So earlier on in the weekend, there were a whole lot of validators coming online, and a whole lot of those were from Thomas. So good job, Thomas. Like that was really cool to see. But we then, over the, of course, Sunday night, the main thing was that we were getting ready for was Saturn Zero, and the whole community's kind of been like lining up for Saturn Zero the whole weekend. It felt like there was like a excited anxiety kind of undercurrent through the community, and people were just like wondering what's going to happen, how things are going to stand, how it's all going to look. Well, right before the call started yesterday for ETH Staker, who hosted a call with the Rocket Pool team and some Rocket Pool community members, they were talking about, Saturn Zero. It went live during the call, but right before the call started, here we can see that there was 25,633 ETH in the deposit pool at the time. Now that was, a big amount of ETH. Of course, it came down quite significantly from the highs that we had, with 1KX exiting. It went up to 41,000, and at that point it looked really grim, right? Like even people outside the Rocket Pool community were kind of commenting on the size of the deposit pool, saying that this is like huge, like what are you guys doing? Like this isn't good. So that of course was something that was being addressed. Like, Constellation took out a big chunk of that. Some of these new node operators, starting validators, took some out. One big whale actually exited, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later, but that added a whole lot of ETH back into the deposit pool. But we're going to come back to that in a minute. But let's actually start talking about the validators here as well. Like you could see that there was active 22,024 validators at the time of just as the ETH staker call was starting. So we were just getting ready for Saturn Zero to go live around half an hour after that. And then here we got the events. It pinged that it went live. This person created their validator. They were the last person to create a validator right before Saturn Zero went live. And then Saturn Zero went live, and there it was 8 o'clock. And a few minutes later, that Langas did the parameter change. Kane was checking it on the back end, making sure everything was okay. This was while we were still on the call with ETH Staker, of course. And we were just kind of explaining what Saturn Zero is, how it came about, who is it good for, and all of that really good stuff. So here in trading, the community was like really a buzz, and there were a whole lot of people around. And yeah, Saturn Zero actually went live 1 second early. So it was at 7 o'clock and 59 minutes and 59 seconds instead of 8 o'clock. And Patchy says better to be 1 second early than 11 seconds late. But yeah, here there was, you could see like the back end of Langas actually editing like things on the fly, which was kind of cool. And then, yeah, there was just, people were just really excited in trading. They started like asking, when can we start making the validators? When is that going to happen? And Jasper was putting out tweets. I was putting out tweets later as well. And then a few minutes later, we started to see the first activity in the events channel. But like it took. Let me see. We got a forward here. Let me see what it is. What we started seeing right away was deposits and bond reductions, and here it was. So 8 o'clock and 13 minutes. It was 11. A good 13 minutes basically after the contract was changed, then the parameters were changed, and like pretty much instantly we started that here. Hululo shared the bootstrap mode settings changed, and it tells you what the settings were changed to. So node per mini pool stake minimum, that was RPL set to minimum, set to 0, and then target fee and minimum and maximum setting, all that as well. And then patches was even slower. And then we started to see here Jackson was beginning bond reduction. So Jackson was one of the first people, and then there were others as well. So the first bond reductions came through, and then there was actual mini pools created as well. So this started happening really quickly, and it went wild. Like it literally went really wild. Let me see if I've got the events page. Yeah, so here you can see that Saturn 0 went live. Houston went live, and then there was some like small bits of activity happening. But then as soon as the parameters were changed, then like this was all in the space of minutes. There were a whole lot of bond reductions, a whole lot of new validators starting, and it was just like unrelenting. Like it was phenomenal just watching this. Like all of these that I've just been scrolling past was in space of 3 minutes. So you can literally sit here now and scroll for like a good 5 minutes before you reach the bottom of this page. Like that's just how active it's been. It's been like truly mind-boggling, absolutely amazing to see. We're going to come back to that like in a little while. I'll give you the update on the numbers. But here, all nodes were ready to go. So here, Jagmart from All Nodes says all nodes are ready to go. The mini pool contract has been upgraded, and you can see that they've done it on their side. So people they will let you bond reduce without checking your RPL. And there's Samus was asking, do all the nodes automatically opt into the smoothing pool? So they said we'll have to ask our team about tweets, but here this says your money pool commission will be reduced from 14% to 5%. So that's 5% just from the smart contract. Of course, there's 5% coming from the smoothing pool as well. And then Summer says you should probably mention the dynamic commission requirement to be in the smoothing pool to earn that. And then they've said that it doesn't automatically get you to join the smoothing pool, but here Val says that we agree with Samus. The contracts commission does indeed go from 14% to 5%, but the new ones also get 5 to 9% dynamic commission via the smoothing pool, and thus the smoothing pool is strongly recommended. So Jagma says, thank you for this feedback. We're going to share it with our team, and then there's more information as well. So hopefully that all nodes will be all set, and really strongly encouraging their users to get in the smoothing pool. If you have set up new validators, or if you're bond reducing your 16 ETH validators, please go into the smoothing pool. Otherwise you are leaving a chunk of your rewards on the table, and you don't want to be doing that. Okay, and then here at 12 o'clock and 55 minutes, a good 5 hours after the hotfix, we see that the deposit pool went down below 18,000. So remember, like when we started this, we were at 25,633, and then within a few hours, we were down to 18,000. So that was over 7,000 ETH had been gone from the deposit pool, which was amazing. And then the first deposit after going below was from an Aave bot. So they were still waiting and watching the deposit pool. There was a tiny premium on the secondary market for rETH. So that was being arbed away by these Aave bots. It wasn't much, so that was still there. But you can see the validators just kept coming in, and they were just gung-ho about it. A little while later, there was this one node operator here who started exiting the nodes, so that made the numbers go back up again, but that was okay. We kept going, so it was fine. That's just the what's his name information again. Okay, and here we have this is the first people who bond reduced last night. They started to they use their credits. Oh no, that was not credit. Where's the credit? Created using ETH balance. Yeah, people started basically after 12 hours of going through the scrub, then they were given their credit for their validators, and they were able to start their credits using using their, from the 16 ETH, their one validator would stay that. Their right of that, instead of being 16 ETH, goes down to 8 ETH, and then they get 8 more ETH from the protocol to say, here, go start a new validator. So they're splitting their validator into two. So that's the thing that we started seeing this morning as well, which was really great. And then here, Rect Pleb says, is everyone in the smoothing pool? Or if you have a ton of mini pools, is it just doesn't make sense? Give me the truth, not the rocket pool propaganda. So Halul says, it's always better to be in a smoothing pool statistically. Basically, the more validators, the higher the EV, because MEV rewards are very tail heavy. Unless you're somehow bigger than the entire rest of the pool, is advantageous. So the Rect Pleb says it seems communist. And then the idea, of course, you have to remember is that if you are not in the smoothing pool, then those new validators will give you less rewards than you are rightfully owed. So it is in your very, very, very strong interest to be in the smoothing pool. Of course, once you get to Saturn 1, the way the rewards are calculated will be changed. So it won't be as strong as an incentive to stay in the smoothing pool if you don't want to. But right now, for people who are starting validators between, after Saturn 0 and up to Saturn 1, you should definitely be in the smoothing pool for that. Okay, and then Noshua this morning, this was 3 hours ago, so the numbers have probably changed by now. But I asked Noshua, can you run the numbers of what's happened? And there were a few things that I was looking out for. So one, I was looking for new node operators joining. Two was I was looking for solo stakers migrating. So both of those metrics actually were not that great, because people who were ready for Saturn 0 set up their nodes a few days ago to make sure all their clients and everything was synced up and ready to go. And solo staker migration actually isn't that much of a thing anymore, like on chain, because people who are solo staking have changed their credentials to 0x01 already. So then they can't change them to the Rocket Pool credentials. That was just like a limited time thing, like a special feature where you could change your credentials directly from 0x00 straight to the Rocket Pool credentials. But so that wasn't really something to worth looking out for again. That will still happen, of course, but it will happen kind of like off chain, not directly on chain. So people will get ETH, and then they will withdraw their solo stakers and bring that ETH to Rocket Pool and start new validators with that. But here, not sure, this was an update 13 hours after Saturn 0 went live. He said there had been 300 bond reductions in that time and 554 mini pools created in that time. So that was incredible. Like, that's nearly 1,000 validators basically coming online within a matter of hours. And it wasn't just the Rocket Pool community where we'd caught attention of what was going on. This was also noticed by Anthony Sassano, and he gave an update on Jasper's Rocket Pool Reborn thread and shared the information about that on the Daily Gwei this morning. And he actually said that he has some ETH lying around, so he's going to start some new ETH-only validators and put them into Rocket Pool because his RPL is under collateral, but he's happy to start ETH-only validators with Rocket Pool. So that is actually really, really awesome to see as well. Okay, and this is where we are right now. So just a little while ago, before I started recording, the current size of the deposit pool, actually, let me just get the latest numbers. We've got them right here. So I've been watching events all day. So as you can see, there's been a whole lot of stuff happening. And the deposit pool right now is 13,269. However, that doesn't actually paint the full picture. And the reason why that doesn't paint the full picture is because we have something that we have not seen since June 16th. And the thing that we have not seen since June 16th is deposits into the deposit pool. So the last deposit pool was on June 6th. Sorry, not 16th. And that was 6 ETH that went in there. Sorry, I just pressed refresh and it's refreshing. That was 6 ETH that went into there. And right now, today, we have 1,456 ETH deposited and rETH minted. So this is brrring, which is absolutely wonderful to see. There's space in the deposit pool. Jasper, myself, others have been hyping it quite a lot on Twitter, saying that, hey, there's space, go check it out, go mint rETH now. And I'm hoping that we'll see a couple of really big whale splashes in the next few days, maybe like, deposits into the tens of thousands. That would be really, really great to see. But yeah, we have rETH being deposited. So that number of the 18,000 going down, I have this idea that the deposit pool will be empty by Tuesday. I've been saying this for a while. In my heart of hearts, I thought it would be empty by Monday night. However, there have been a couple of exits that added some ETH to the deposit pool. There's also been minting that's been happening. So those numbers actually, if you just look at the pure deposit pool number, it doesn't quite look as impressive as what the amount of validators is showing you. And that is actually a much more impressive number. I think, the one that Nosho shared, with there being nearly 1,000 new validators. Okay, let's there's this. Okay, so Joe this weekend kind of was like digging around in the contracts and seeing what's going on, and he realized that there is actually a whole lot of idle ETH sat in the Rocket Pool protocol. So here, Ramana and Joe were having a discussion about claiming, distributing your validators and the best way to do that and stuff, and how much distributes cost. And then he was having a look and kind of showing that it just costs like less than $1 to distribute your rewards. And they were kind of having that discussion back and forth. And then Joe kind of realized that there's actually a whole lot of ETH sat on the validators on the contracts, and that's not being sent out to the protocol and not being sent out to the stakers. So he says it might be fun to do a little Gas is 3, everyone distribute a mini pools campaign and see if anyone else wants to put their otherwise idle ETH here to get us over the line. He says, to be fair, now it's a good time to distribute anyway. ETH is just sitting there, at least with the distribute our ETH gets a little APR boost because it's going to get put to work. So here, then Joe crunched the numbers and saw how much our ETH how much ETH there is just sitting there, and this is what he found out. He found out that there is 11,000 ETH sitting in mini pool contracts at the moment, waiting for distribution. And basically, what's happened is Rocket Pool node operators have earned so much money, and they haven't claimed that money. And I think that's because some of them don't even know that this is money that you can claim. Now, that actually was me. So I'd opted into smoothing pool, and the money that I got, for some reason, I didn't click in my mind that I also had to, distribute rewards to myself. So what ended up happening was I actually had a little amount of ETH, not a huge amount or anything, but just a little amount of ETH waiting for me. This was a while ago, so at the time I was kind of pleasantly surprised. But it seems like there's a whole lot of other people out there who, for one reason or another, are not claiming their rewards, and that's 11,000 ETH that's acting as a drag on the protocol, because that could be put to use to get new validators. It could be used to mint our ETH. It can even go over to XR ETH, right, with NodeSet if you want. But yeah, if you are sat on your validators and you haven't claimed your rewards in a while, go to Rocket Pool, Mini Pool, Distribute, and you can potentially have a nice amount of ETH waiting for you there. Okay, moving on to some other really exciting news. So today, this weekend, the GMC elections are ongoing, and we got some news about that here. And Shifrin says that we're selecting a new roster of 9 GMC members. Use these threads to share your feedback or ask questions for the nominees. And the list of nominees is Destroyer, Dondo, Dr. Doofus, Ken, Kevster, Lee, Len of Tower, Looking for Owls, Ramana, Scuzzle, Snowcones, Steely, and Whack. It says, in order to help inform your choices, please refer to the nominee statements. And then there's some instructions from RPIP 10 telling you how you can vote. So far, there's not been any questions for any of the applicants, and neither have there been any people giving their ideas of who's worth voting for and who's not worth voting for potentially. I know a few people did that last year, which was really cool to see. And then the vote, of course, is live now. So this went live this morning, and it says the GMC, this is October 2024, GMC membership selection for RPIP 40. So it says this vote will select a new full membership slate for the Grants Bounties Management Committee, and the 9 nominees in order of vote power received will comprise the next GMC, and nominees beyond the top 9 will serve as backups in order of vote power received in case anyone leaves the GMC within the next 6 months. If they leave after 6 months, then there'll have to be a new election to replace that person or those people. So it's been 12 months since the last full committee selection, and we have between 10 and 14 months to form a new committee. And so that's what we're doing now. We're fulfilling that RPIP 40 rationale. And then there's forum threads for nominee statements, supplementary nominee metrics, and discussions including questions for the nominees. and you can go read RPL 40 to have a look. So this is where the vote stands right now. Let me show you if I change my screen. So Scuzzle so far is number 1, then Steely, Snowcones, Lee, Looking for Owls, Dr. Doofus, Destroyer, Ken, Kevster, then me, then Lenov Tower, then Dondo and Ramana. And so far we have 5,700 votes out of a quorum of 14,000. So, we're finding votes really quickly. And it looks like we will be getting some new members on the GMC this year because a few members from last year stepped down. So that is really, really exciting. I haven't voted yet. We can see some of the votes have come in already. So here we see Patches has voted, and he said that he is just put a placeholder vote and he will change things as he looks at them. Here Ramana voted as well. So yeah, look, with Ramana, you can see that he voted for a bunch of people, and like mostly 6.7% for votes, but for a few people he gave a bit more. Ken here voted for new people. He left a message saying, boosting the challenges, glad to see the interest in serving the PDAO community. Holulo said, everyone on this list is qualified to be on the GMC. Higher weight for those whose perspectives I see as uniquely valuable for the protocol. So he gave more votes to certain people. And then like a few of the big vote people haven't voted yet. Like I haven't voted yet. Val hasn't voted yet. It looks like Noshua hasn't voted yet. But a whole lot of votes have come in now. So that's really cool to see. And like I said, we're nearly at quorum as well. So that's awesome. Okay, let's go back to the Rocket Pool Discord here. And we got some little bit of alpha here. So from Alpha Growth here, there's the Sad Broke Director. You might know him as Spartan. And he says, in other good news, Alpha Growth helped Rocket Pool retrieve their X account. So that is actually a huge piece of news that kind of broke just casually in trading in the middle of shit posting about Saturn Zero. But it looks like maybe then they did something on the back end or something. I have no idea how it all happened, but it looks like the team should be back in control of the original Twitter account very soon. So we won't have to follow the Rocket Pool Labs thing that we kind of sussed out last week. But yeah, this is actually really interesting news. So thanks, Sad Broke Director, for sharing that. That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about some Constellation news. So here we have the NodeSet Discord, and they were changing parameters to allow more validators, and they moved up to 5 validators per node operator, and this was on Friday afternoon, and people got really happy really quickly. And as always is the case with NodeSet operators, they are piranhas waiting for those new deposits to come in, because as soon as those deposits come in, they just feast on them, and people are running scripts and using bots to get those validators online. It's actually quite funny. But here, then Nick, updated the information saying that go forth, the parameter changes have done. And Hululo pretty much right away was able to get a validator in. And here, this is the GIF that is really popular in the community there. It's just piranhas like in a feeding frenzy. And yeah, people saying, let's go, it's time. And it was all looking good. So that was really cool. And then what happened was Constellation actually hit 500 validators, which was really great landmark, and the one that I was hoping to see before Saturn Zero went live. So here you could see that they had 127 node operators with 507 mini pools at that point. Right now the number is a little bit higher, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We got some updates from NodeSet as well, and there were a couple of them that are quite important. So one of them, this is really exciting for NodeSet node operators. They're saying that they're so happy with the growth, and they hit 500 validators across 120 individual node operators. So he said that in aggregate demonstrated performance in line with some of the best institutions in this industry. This is a huge achievement for our community, and we're so thankful for all of you. And he says, given the impressive growth of the system, Gravita has accepted NodeSet's recommendation that they leave in place the 1 ETH bond, a temporary value lock, even after Saturn Zero takes effect in the next few hours. There was the next couple of days even, but he says this decision was made with the understanding that 1, there had been no scrub mini pools in Rocket Pool to date. 2, any scrub mini pool would represent less than 0.1% of assets in the system. And 3, Given the professionalism and performance displayed by node operators thus far, we believe the risk of such an event to be negligible. NodeSet has offered to reimburse Constellation in the unlikely event this does occur, and of course the temporary bond would be increased in this case as well. So basically, if you are a node operator with NodeSet, remember that if you do this, if you get a validator scrubbed, it likely will be the case that you get kicked out of NodeSet, and your validators will be closed down. So that's just me assuming that that's not an official policy as far as I can see. And then Wander as well was saying that there might be some temporary disruptions as Saturn Zero is rolled out and Constellation parameters need to be adjusted. I don't expect this to last longer than a few days, but hopefully it's a much shorter time frame. So then with the freezing frenzy that I was talking about here, Schifrin made a PWAP for it, and the PWAP was that if you had a transaction that failed, then you could get the feeding frenzy PWAP, and that PWAP now has been distributed, which is really cool. Let me see if I can find what it looks like. Oh, that's okay. Wait, hold on. I have it here. You can see what it looks like right here. So the PWAP, this one's already been minted by Rastabob, because this is the piranha one. So it's basically feeding frenzy, and it's got piranha taking a giant bite, 127 piranhas and counting. So this was a really nice little PWAP that got given out to community members, and I actually had my first failed transaction because by the time I put my transaction through, someone else had already taken the ETH that was waiting for me, and then it was gone. Okay, let's have a look here. We've got some explanation from Joe now about the parameter changes. So basically, as Saturn Zero went live, there was some ETH that came into the Constellation deposit pool, and people were trying to use it, but they were getting an error. So the error was simulating transaction, creating mini pool failed. Simulating creating mini pool failed, error estimating gas needed, execution reverted, minimum node fee exceeds current network node fee. So what happened is that as they were trying to put the transaction through, it was saying that the commission would be at 14%, but of course that was not 14% anymore. It changed down to 5%, with 5% coming from the smoothing pool. So that was the parameter that needed to be changed. And thankfully, they were really quick. So here, just a few hours later, 4 hours after Saturn Zero went live, Wander part messaging, this is fixed a bit earlier than expected. Constellation should be compatible with Saturn Zero now. There will be more parameter changes in the coming days, but I would expect things to calm down soon. In the coming weeks, we're hoping to add more time lock delays for safety as the protocol stabilizes further. So this was actually a really nice update from Wander. So that is awesome to see. And then Nick had clarification as well. So he says, please be aware that as of now, Gravitas gas subsidy is no longer in effect. Keep this in mind when deploying mini pools from here on out. So what had happened is that Gravita, for the first week and a bit, nearly 2 weeks of the operation, said that they would refund up to 5 GUE of gas per validator that you started. And that was, making it quite profitable for starting validators in low gas environments. Like, you'd be able to earn back your income really quickly. With that going away, I think the piranhas will actually calm down a little bit, because they'll be a lot more gas sensitive now about when they're going to launch their validators. And the times that I think you'll see basically is during the nights in the US during the week, but especially during the nights in the US on weekends. That tends to be when gas is the cheapest in the Ethereum, mempools. So that's most likely when you'll see growth coming from NodeSet. Okay, later we've got this update from Joe talking about the feature list of things that he wants to put in the next version and future versions of the hyperdrive system. That's the NodeSet version of their smart node stack. And he says that there's some small things and some big things. Like, small things are client updates, flags to override safety checks, cosmetic fixes, the VC graffiti file. And then the big changes are forced restarting upon service install or apt update. Latter is a huge pain, but I have pull request up now, and the daemon is always up to date. And then support for flashbots protect so transactions don't revert and cost gas anymore. So that will be a way of kind of saving some of those issues. And the Key Manager API to dynamically load keys into the VC, so no more doppelganger. So that's some of those are really cool. So Joe says some, but probably not all of these will be in 1.1.1, which I'm planning to have out pretty soon. The rest I'll wait for 1.2, and then I'll actually take a real week off. So yeah, hopefully Joe gets to take some time off soon because he has been working hard. This last week was supposed to be a vacation for him, but he was still around every day and working. So here there's a screenshot that actually was going around about Gravita, and Gravita should be here mixes Gravita should be running their hands together, rubbing their hands together, and it shows a flat line and then a very sudden spike and like a leveling upwards, and it was Mig, and he said that NodeSet have done a 3x on their TVL. I think my camera just turned off, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, Joseph, where's that from? He says it's from DeFi Llama, and then they're showing that there's ETH, which is XR ETH, and RPL are there as well, and they're taking up nearly 75% of Gravita's TVL now, which is really amazing to see. So that's awesome. Okay, next, last week we talked about Aave and the RPL pool on Aave and how it was full. Well, something really interesting has happened in that one of the whales over the weekend shut down their node, and we were kind of worried that it was 155,000 RPL and what is going to happen with that. Well, it turned out that that whale actually needed to repay their loan on Aave. I guess they were kind of waiting for a few days to see if the interest rate had stabilized, but it hadn't stabilized. So they exited their node and repaid back their Aave loan. So the Aave rewards are now back down to normal. That's interesting because what ended up happening is like RPL that might have gone to Aave before, we saw that overnight it was going to NodeSet instead. So people were putting more RPL into NodeSet, which was actually really, really awesome to see. Now, that particular node operator, I think, had more than 100 validators. I think it was more than 100 validators even. And what we think is hopefully that person will come back in with ETH only validators, but we're yet to see that happen. Okay, I want to take a step outside of the Rocket Pool community now, and this is from ETH Finance, and this is from EMP2B3. So I talked about this person on Rocket Fuel a few days ago as well, I think. But anyway, here, this person put a post in ETH Finance saying, after the merge, I started looking into staking, but the only internet options at the time weren't great. And so I don't have tech background, never used command line interface, etc. Says I saw several posts talking about how anyone can do it, but I really didn't think it could apply to me. So I looked at the summer ESAT guides and they looked very thorough, but I quickly became overwhelmed. So while fiber internet without a data cap was installed in our neighborhood, and I decided it was time. I was worried that all nodes would be cost prohibitive with Saturn 1 for Rocket Pool, allowing 4 ETH validators. As people in the Rocket Pool hardware channel helped me find an appropriate setup, and following the Rocket Pool guides, I was able to get up and running on the Hashkey test network. My questions in the support channel were answered within minutes. Now I'm on mainnet and I'm obsessed with studying my Grafana dashboard. The smart node stack is super helpful for someone like me and only had a vague understanding of what Linux even was. So it says if you've been on the fence about running your own node, it really is possible. For me, the Rocket Pool community has been great help, and I've also found answers in the Eat Stake community. And then there's more as well. And this is a comment from Ethical Trade saying, it's a long journey, but the Rocket Pool community's efforts are starting to pay. After months of having deposit pool filled way over the limit, it's decreased by more than 23,000 ETH in the past 2 weeks, thus increasing the rETH APR and making it possible to mint new rETH again. Rocket Pool listened to its users and just made it possible to stake without RPL. Congratulations to the Rocket Pool community, and thanks for contributing 3,772 nodes to Ethereum. So that number of node operators isn't quite right, because those don't count the closed ones and all that kind of stuff. So the actual number of node operators we have is closer to 1,800 to 2,000, but that's what that's how many people have ever registered a node. So I replied by saying, I'm so happy right now. Saturn 0 from last night has been a phenomenal success. We've added nearly 10,000 ETH in new validators. and around that same time, amount of bond reductions in 12 hours. This is beyond the wildest expectations of the rocket pool community, but not mine. Haha. I said it started 2 weeks ago with NodeSet's Constellation launching. In that time, they brought 550 validators into rocket pool. They're on the verge of being the biggest single node. That's with 130 unique who are permissioned rocket pool and solar staker node operators, and they're running 5 validators each. So since last night we had a Saturn upgrade for rocket pool, and this allows ETH only validators on the protocol and will give RPL rewards to those who have fallen under 10% collateral. The community has responded incredibly strongly to this already. The deposit pool was overflowing to 41,000 ETH very recently. Today it will be at 0 and it's likely to stay pretty low for a while to come. You can mint rETH straight from the protocol again for the first time since June. So I think Ethical Trades post is the top rated post of the day. So people are starting to pay attention. Jasper and I have been putting out a whole lot of messaging on Twitter, and that's been like getting some nice attention as well, with like some prominent people kind of like liking some of those tweets. So it looks like attention is coming back onto Rocket Pool from outside, and that of course is always really cool to see. Now, if you are a person who's just minted rETH, here we have Bracket5 protocol, and this is liquid stake DeFi backed by Binance Labs. So they've got some investments from Binance Labs, but they've got new asset that they added, and that asset is rETH. They said we're excited to share a 2-week window to offer an additional 100% bars boost on Rocket Pool's rETH deposits starting Monday, October 28th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, ends on Saturday, November the 9th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So it says, why do you stake? This is backed by Binance Labs and 20 global investors. 300% max boost available right now, an LST5 platform with access to yield strategies in phase 2. So if you are interested in this, I've never actually used this protocol before. I don't really know too much about it, but it seems like they're going quite big on getting people to integrate rETH. So if you want to use rETH, then go for it. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode on this absolutely amazing note of Saturn Zero launch being so successful. It's been a long time in the process, and this is just step one. But I feel like the whole community is feeling happy and bullish in the protocol, and really hyped about the possibilities for Rocket Pool now. When just a few months ago, there was talk in the wider Ethereum community, that Rocket Pool was in death spiral. Its TVL was going down, the token price was going down, all that kind of stuff. But this is the beginning of that turning around, and it's going to be really amazing going forward. So anyway, like I said, thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. I know that I certainly did, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.